quarters of that game, is that about as good a defense as you could have hoped your team would play?
Yeah, we prepared to play well. We felt like that really there was 2 drives in the game we didn't, and then we got a stop late in the game. So I don't know. I would say it was more than that, but we just didn't. We needed one more play, one more stop. There's no real consolation in playing good on defense and not winning. So the objective is to win, but obviously we knew it was a hell of a challenge, and I think our players stepped up to that.
How do you think you guys took away their receivers as well as you did? There's no one else had done that all season the way that you did.
I think we have very good players in the secondary. I think it's a testament to those guys that play. They do a very good job of our guys do a very good job of executing the system and covering themselves in areas that they need to. I give credit to our players. I mean, we knew going in that we had a challenging system to defend, a challenging group of players to defend, and we wanted to make sure that they couldn't figure out. However, they were making ways to try to figure out our coverages, and they go to extreme lengths to try to figure out what we're doing. And so the system we put in place to make sure that they couldn't figure out what we were playing and they couldn't tell the quarterback, I think, is a testament to our players.
After a tough start, it seems like UCLA made a jump sort of in that second month of the season. What do they show you on offense that's going to be a challenge?
They're running the ball. They're really doing a really nice job running the ball. In that running game includes the quarterback as a designed runner, also includes the quarterback as a scrambler. If you look at the Penn State game, he probably had 80 yards in critical scramble yards. He scrambles on third downs for first down. He's athletic as hell, tall, fast. So they want to run the football, and that's just kind of really everybody we've seen this year that's kind of been their mantra. So that's what they've been doing well. I think they're averaging close to 180 yards a game rushing since they made the change at coordinator. So we're going to have to do a good job of defending the run and knowing where the quarterback is when he drops back.
What have you seen from Nico? He was a college football playoff starter a year ago, obviously a new team.
Yeah.
How has he evolved at UCLA?
Yeah, I didn't really watch him last year just because we didn't have really crossover, and I focused most of my attention on what he's done this year under the current system and the current play callers. Obviously, we have some intel with Coach Eck was there with him and knows him well. But just like I said, I think that he can make all the throws if he knows what the coverage is. He can throw the ball deep to the outside. He can throw the ball deep to the on the comebacks and the digs. So the intermediate passing game that you see a lot of quarterbacks struggle with, he does a nice job with. And so we're going to have to do a good job, like we have to do every week with a quarterback like that, of muddying the picture pre-snap and making sure that when the ball's snapped, the post-snap coverage looks different than it was pre-snap.
Matt mentioned he thought some guys on defense played their best game Saturday. How do you balance the disappointment with also building guys up with the good film that was there?
Yeah, we have a young defense. I think collectively, you look at a lot of these players. Donnie Jones had a great game. He's a freshman. Rex keeps playing well. He's a freshman. Petchak played well. He's a freshman. Williams Onaweri plays well. He's a redshirt freshman. Shavers played well. He's a second-year player. So it's when you're a process program, and I'm a victim of this, or I'm guilty of this probably more than anybody, just because I'm too damn competitive. But you got to get on to the next play, and we've got to get on to the next game, and we just got to focus on getting better, which I think we have through the year with the way Coach Rule, the way we practice, the level of physicality we're asked to practice with. Even on a day like today, we're out there thudding and tackling and taking on the run. I think you're going to continue to see progress in our players, and that's really the objective. You want to win as many games as you can. That's the primary objective, but you also want to be improving as the year goes along, which I think we have, and we'll continue to do that.
How much credit do you give to the veterans on this defense that are helping the young players on this defense really come along?
Yeah, I think we've got very good leadership, specifically in each room. You've got Singleton, Buford, and obviously Sierra in the secondary room helping some of these younger players that are playing for us. You've got, Javen Wright, in the linebacker room kind of helping come along, whether it's Shavers or whether it's Merritt playing or now Bowers playing some. Javen really played really well the other night, physical, had an incredibly physical play on their lineman and knocked him out of the game legally, but that was about as physical as play as I've seen. I think that leadership is, they take the message of what we're trying to do, what Coach Rule is preaching, what I'm preaching, and take it into the locker room, support it. We've had, some significant success in certain areas that you've got to keep pounding on, and then we just got to keep working on fixing the run defense. So.
Even though you guys gave up what you gave up, did you feel was there encouragement that you didn't give up the 60-yard run against USC?
I guess. There was encouragement that we played to our standard as much as we did. Like I said, defending that offense, that personnel, that system of trying to figure you out. So I think that there were some runs we'd like to have back. Really, it's the quarterback runs that kind of hurt us in some critical areas, but we just got to make one more play and one of those third downs at the end and get the ball back to our offense.
When you're at the end of a stretch where you play six games in 6 weeks, what are you seeing right now from your defensive guys as far as their eagerness to to play this game?
Yeah, I would say the first thing the first testament you get of that is how do they show up on Sunday? And if you look at us last Sunday, our guys are flying around after playing Northwestern after a really physical game, practicing. Like we practice on Sunday and we go for about 30 minutes of full live stuff, and they were flying around. And then we came out, obviously after a disappointing result this past Saturday, and this Sunday they were flying around. And today we're in pads and knocking the hell out of each other. So I said to Snow today, I said, our guys are flying around. They're giving us everything they have. All we can do is keep pouring into them and focusing on the process and getting better and making that one play so that the result ends up being what it is. But if we focus on just continuing to be more physical, defending the run, controlling this quarterback, that's just kind of what the message has got to be.
How difficult is it finding tendencies in a play caller who's only been doing it for about a month?
You got to use what you can use. Heck, they only got 9 games on me, so he's 4 behind. He's 4 behind me, so as far as that's concerned, a lot of stuff, you're figuring it out as the game's going on. So we feel like we got a decent beat on them in terms of what they want to do. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to our players versus their players, and our players playing more physical. Our players, standing up for each other, playing for each other, and finding a way to make one more play.
What improvements would you like to see from the QB run game, just how you guys defend the QB?
Yeah, I mean, when I think you guys all understand this. You guys are all experienced reporters, but like, there's 11 guys out there on the field. We have 11 on defense. The second that the quarterback becomes a viable runner, the matchup's even. So what you're always trying to do then is you're trying to kind of get a half of a player towards somebody so you can get that extra half a player towards the quarterback. Because if you take your post safety out of the middle of the field and he's got the quarterback, then it turns into, bombs over Baghdad and they're just throwing the ball all over you. So you're constantly trying to manipulate, that factor, because the quarterback as a runner is an equalizer. It's an equalizer in the run game because you got all the gaps filled. When the quarterback meshes the ball, he creates another gap that you've got to then find somebody. And you look at like the other night, they were doing that with their quarterback, and we were bringing the corner, and he was then flipping the ball out to number 1. Well, then we figured it out. We adjusted, and they did that, and Marshall jumped back and made the play. So it's a constant cat and mouse game of, who's going to have the extra guy? Is it a blitz? Is it a run stunt? Are we going to show pressure to try to get him out of it? Are we going to, so there's a lot of things you have to do, and then credit to them that, they really hadn't run him out in the middle of the field as much. They were pretty much a red zone run team. But the way we were taking away the running back and tackling the running back like we were, that we really gave him no option. And even on that touchdown, we had a guy there for him. He just didn't make the tackle. So credit to that kid for making that play.
You've had a chance to go against Latif, on the offseason and stuff. What sort of stands out about just his makeup, and has it impressed you being on the other side of the ball?
Yeah, I would. I'm the defensive coordinator. I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm not going to comment on any of our offensive players. I think he's a great kid. I think he's practiced well. He's given us some headaches, so I think he's going to step up and get coached by our offensive staff and do a great job. And it's our job as on defense to grab the rope and do whatever we got to do to make the game easier for him. Thank you, guys. Thank you.